All right, let's talk Lululemon. We're going to put on our long-term value investor hat for this one. That means we're tuning out all the day-to-day stock market noise. What we really care about is the big picture. Is this business built to last? Does it have a real, durable edge over the next 10 years or even more? That's the mission today. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to lay out the Lululemon playbook. What makes this company tick? Then we'll dig into their competitive moat, their secret sauce. After that, we'll look at the headwinds, because there are definitely some cracks showing. We'll see how they're trying to navigate that storm, talk about the drama at the top, and then we'll get to the final verdict. Let's get into it. All right, first up, the Lululemon playbook. Let's really get under the hood and understand their business model and just how they plan to keep growing. So the whole foundation of Lululemon's business is this direct-to-consumer model. What does that actually mean? Well, they make their own stuff, and they sell it in their own stores and on their own website. That's it. This gives them this incredible, almost ironclad control over everything: the brand, the feel of the stores, the customer experience, and maybe most importantly, the price tag. They are the masters of their own destiny. And when you look at the numbers, it gets really interesting. You might think it's all about online these days, right? But nope. A whopping 65% of their revenue still comes from their physical brick-and-mortar stores. And that's key. For Lululemon, these stores aren't just places to buy leggings. They're community hubs, brand embassies, really. They work hand in glove with their super strong online business to create this whole ecosystem. Okay, so where do they go from here? Well, management has laid out this super ambitious roadmap they call the Power of 3XU strategy. And look, this isn't some fluffy corporate mission statement. It's a hard-nosed plan with a very specific and frankly audacious goal to double their revenue and hit $12.5 billion by 2026. That is a huge number. So how are they going to pull that off? It really boils down to three things. First, they're pushing hard on product innovation. Think getting into stuff like tennis, golf, and hiking. Second, they want to make the customer experience even better, especially online, with the aim of doubling their digital sales. And the third, and maybe most important piece, is a massive push to expand internationally. And this chart right here, man, it tells the whole story. You can see it clear as day. The North American market, their home turf, is actually down a bit, -2%. But look at the international business. It is absolutely on fire. We're talking 38% growth year over year. Right now, that is the engine driving this train. The whole growth story hinges on them cracking the global market. Okay, so that's the plan for growth. But let's get to the question that every long-term investor has to ask. What really separates Lululemon from everyone else? What's their competitive advantage, their economic moat? What stops someone else from just doing the same thing? And the answer really starts with this core idea they have, something they call the science of feel. And I know, it sounds a little like marketing jargon, but it's not. It's this obsession with engineering how the product feels on your body. It's about the whole experience, from the texture of the fabric to the way it fits and moves. They're not just selling clothes, they're selling a feeling. And that philosophy becomes real in their fabrics. We're talking about a portfolio of over 45 patented materials. You've probably heard of them. LULU, which they describe as buttery soft. Everlux, which feels cool on your skin when you're sweating. Each one is engineered for a very specific purpose. And because they're patented, it creates a product that is genuinely different and, more importantly, really hard for competitors to just knock off. And remember that business model we talked about? Selling only in their own stores? Well, that just pours concrete into their moat because they control everything. They control the price. You're not going to find Lululemon gear on a clearance rack at some random sporting goods store. Compare that to a Nike or an Adidas. Their brand image is constantly being shaped and often diluted by their wholesale partners. Lululemon doesn't have that problem. They protect that premium feel at all costs. Okay, so we've built a pretty strong case, right? A powerful brand, a killer business model, but, and this is a big but, it's not all smooth sailing. The company is facing some pretty serious headwinds right now. The waters are definitely getting a lot choppier. And this isn't just a feeling. We can see it in the numbers. Look at this, -2%. That's the drop in comparable sales in the Americas, their biggest, most important market. The main engine is starting to sputter, and that's a real warning sign. And when sales slow down, it hits you right in the profit margins. Gross margins dropped by 110 basis points. That's 1.1%. What does that tell us? It suggests they're having to offer more discounts to move product, and their costs are probably going up. Either way, it means they're making less money on every single thing they sell. And here's the other thing. The competition is heating up. And it's not just the usual suspects like Nike. We're seeing a whole new breed of smaller, faster, more agile brands. You've probably seen them. Alo Yoga, Vori. And what are they doing? They're basically running the Lululemon playbook. They're building community, focusing on premium products, and going straight for Lululemon's core customer. The pressure is coming from all sides. So, the big question is, how is Lululemon fighting back? What's their plan for navigating this storm? Let's take a look at how they're handling these risks, from supply chains to the tech they're using. For any company that makes stuff overseas, one of the biggest boogeymen is geopolitics, specifically tariffs. And for a long time, the big concern has been China. If you're a premium brand making your products there, you are seriously exposed to trade wars and supply chain chaos. But here's where Lululemon has been really, really smart. They saw this coming. They have been proactively moving their manufacturing out of China for years. Just look at this breakdown. Vietnam is now their #1 spot at 42%. Cambodia, Sri Lanka, they're barely in China anymore. This is a huge strategic move that makes their supply chain way less risky. And on the technology front, they're not just sitting still. They're leaning into AI in some really practical ways. They're using it to personalize your online shopping experience, so you see stuff you actually want. Their designers are using generative AI to create new ideas faster. And maybe the most important part, they're using it to manage their inventory, predicting what's going to sell where so they don't have piles of the wrong stuff in the wrong stores. It's about getting smarter and faster. Okay, so they're making smart moves on the supply chain and tech fronts. But there's a huge storm cloud gathering. And this one is coming from inside the company. We're talking about a massive power struggle at the top, a leadership crisis that is happening at the worst possible time. I mean, just look at this timeline. It's wild. In the span of a few weeks, the CEO, who's been pretty successful, says he's stepping down. Boom. A few days later, a huge activist investor, Elliott Management, swoops in with over $1 billion and starts demanding their guy gets the top job. And then, to top it all off, the original founder, Chip Wilson, starts publicly nominating his own people to the board. You've got a three-way battle for the soul of the company playing out in public. And the founder, Chip Wilson, is not mincing words. He's calling the situation a total failure of the board. He's basically saying the people in charge right now don't have what it takes. When the founder is saying that out loud, well, that just injects a massive dose of uncertainty into everything. What's the strategy now? Who is actually in charge? So, where does that leave us? Let's bring it all together for the final verdict in our investment memo. If you're an investor trying to look out 5, 10 years from now, what do you do with all this information? We've seen the good stuff, right? The amazing brand, the smart business model. We've seen the bad stuff, the competition, the slowdown. But when you weigh it all, what is the single biggest threat? What is the one thing that could truly knock this company off its tracks for the long term? Here's the bottom line. The biggest threat to Lululemon's long-term success, it's not Alo Yoga, it's not a recession. It's the leadership uncertainty. It's this messy, unresolved power struggle between the board, an activist, and the founder. Why? Because it risks creating total paralysis right when they need to be decisive. A company can have the best playbook in the world, but if there's no one stable at the helm to call the plays, that playbook is useless. And that, right now, is the biggest risk of all.